Good evening. The first thing I'd like to do is to congratulate the other teams and the other players that are inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, especially Steve Glenn, because he's now a member of our CFL Ottawa Alumni Association, our newest board member. And part of the 80 team is Warner Miles, and I'm going into, and our president is Jeff Avery, who's a part of the 75 famous team, and he's also in the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to everybody. So 1970 was quite a year. OB was picked as, Bob Obilowicz was picked as the coach, I don't know, just in August or something, and he had never coached football. He played with me as the Rough Riders, but he had coached basketball at Algonquin. And so he's got no staff, and so he talks to two old friends of his, Jim Conroy and myself. And I had just won the Grey Cup in 68 and 69, and with Russ Jackson retiring, I knew we were going from first to last, even if I was there, so I was available. And Jim Conroy, three-time All-Canadian corner linebacker, and one of the craziest guys on the field, as some of the players will tell you. And so this was and we became close friends, and we're still friends in the I think in 35 years later, we went on an Alaskan cruise with our wives, and who was on the trip too? Bill Sikorsky and Don Gilbert. So we became lifelong friends. So anyway, my experience was I'd played college ball in the U.S., I was the line coach, and I had played on both sides of the ball, so I had experience, but none of us had any coaching experience. And there we show up. The first day of training camps, when we meet everybody, there's 32 players. What I don't know is that Bob, he went to registration at Ottawa U and had a table, and if anybody came by that looked like they might play football, he'd call them over and say, have you got any football experience, or you like to play football? And that's where 3 or 4 of my backup linemen came from. So we were thin right from the start, but anyway, so that was the start of the thing. But the team we go out there the first day of training camp and say we got 32 players, and we have an unbelievable trainer, Jerry Burgo. He had such enthusiasm and spirit that he injected part of that into our team, the late Jerry Burgo. And so Bob starts looking around, and we've got a pretty good offense. We've got Paul Padden, who won the Heck Crichton. We've got Michel Levier, who's here, Pete Rivens, and Teddy Evans out of the backfield. So we got a pretty good start of an offense, but we need a line. So this is my responsibility. And so we end up with someone here, Pierre is our center, left guard Guy Fortier, and Jean Gouin and John Gauthier are the linemen. And so, and Greg Moses and I mentioned them because I ran into some old Rough Rider teammates maybe down towards the end of the season, and they said, oh, Jim, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm over at Ottawa U. And I said, we got a pretty good passing attack. And I said, I think at that point we've only given up 4 or 5 sacks. So that's congratulations to those guys, because you can't have these guys just throwing the ball around if you can't have somebody to block. But on defense, we had better stuff looking on defense. We had a couple of linebackers who were pretty good. Defensive line, we had a couple of undersized defensive ends and 1 defensive tackle in Vince Brooks. We don't have another defensive tackle. So, and we got defensive backs coming back. We've got Gilles Sabourin, Ron Armstrong, and Barry St. George, and great leadership from Danny Slee and Martin Sevigny. But we don't have another defensive tackle. So we got to recruit in Dale Potter. So Dale is undersized, so we play him at defensive tackle because it gets the push up the middle. And later on, he went on to play linebacker. And of course, as we know, Dale played 12 years in the CFL, and he's got 6 Grey Cups, if you can believe that. Dale's here, unbelievable. So. So then the season, we start the season, we went up at Laurentian, and so then we finished the regular season. We're undefeated with 1 tie against Waterloo Lutheran at that point. And then we play 4 elimination games after that. We play against Bishops. And I said we didn't have much of any depth. And that's where so we're playing against Bishops, and we got to beat them to go on to play the next week. And we're down 17-0 with 2 minutes left in the half. But we got a great quarterback. Paul Padden throws a pass to Pete Ribbons for 35 yards or something. Another one to Michel Levier for 35 yards. And down the 1-yard line, we finally score. And then on the next thing, with 29 seconds left, we kick the ball off short. Coaching decision. And Pete Ribbons gets the ball. We throw a pass to Michel Levier in the end zone. We're down 17-14. Well, we had all the momentum. We just won from there. So it was no problem. What a great comeback of all time that was. So Then the next week we play Bishops with the great running back Larry Smith, who went on to be a terrible CFL commissioner. And I think he's a senator. But he's a senator now, I think, Larry Smith. But we beat them pretty handily at Lansdowne Park. And then we head for the Atlantic Bowl. And we're going to play University of New Brunswick. So we go down there, and we're going to fly into Halifax. Some guys have never been on a plane before. And our plane, we can't get into Halifax because of bad weather. So where do you think we go? Back to Rimouski, Quebec. Wherever that's just outside Quebec City, I think. And we're sitting on the tarmac, That's how we're getting ready for UNB. And so we eventually landed in Halifax, and we beat UNB. And then we went on to play University of Manitoba, the defending Vanier College Bowl champions from the previous year. By this time, we are running on fumes. Like in the Bishops game, Teddy Evans, our running back, good pass catcher, he goes down with an Achilles. So Danny Slee had to play two ways. So Danny had a pretty good game. He picked up 114 yards rushing. And that was just the start of it. By the time we got to play UNB, we had guys that never played these positions beforehand because we had no backups. It was just really amazing. So I was talking to OB the other day, and they said on here that we were the first team to go from a national championship since 1902, which was pretty good. But I was talking to OB the other day, and we were laughing about some of these things. And one of the things he did, the tie against Waterloo Lutheran, it turns out we're saying, oh, go for the victory, go for the victory. We were 1 point down, so we kicked the extra point with Claudio Valley. And OB says, let's go for the tie. And the tie turned out to be just as good as a win. So we're sitting there. So OB is in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame 2015, coached for Argos, BC, general manager of Hamilton, and we were thinking, and I won Grey Cups in 68 and 69, and 1970 to us was the most fun year we had in football because the amazing group of guys with the spirit we had, and they just, coaches, you sort of got to earn respect. We came in because of our background, and we could lose respect, but we already had it from these kids, and we doubly earned it through the year, and you talk to them, and this was an amazing, amazing year in their lives. So anyway, I'd like to get the 11 guys that are here to stand up. I'll name them, and then you can give them a big cheer at the end. So my offensive lineman first, Pierre de Montigny, center, left guard, Guy Fortier. Wait till everybody is up. Blocker, gauche, blocker, Jean Gauthier. The outre Jean Gouin, right tackle. And we got kicker Claudio Valley and Michel Levy. I should mention Michel played with BC Lions. Pete Ribbons played out in Winnipeg and went two ways out there, and we had a 7-year career. So these guys were offensive guys. The defensive guys that are here, we have my tackle Vince Brooks, my other tackle Dale Potter, and defensive guys. Ron Armstrong couldn't be here, but we have Gilles Sabarin and Danny Slee and Martin Sevigny. Is that everybody? Yeah, so I congratulate these guys. They're amazing.